Thank you to our Foreign Secretary, Theresa Lazaro, for her introduction. And Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to you all. And I'm very happy to see so many of you here, and I thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Before I came here, I heard that it was a particularly cold winter. So I am happy that having come here, that I can lay claim to the fact that we brought the sun and the warmer weather. Unfortunately, the forecast that we hear is that when we leave, the cold weather will return. And so I am open to invitations to come back to New York to keep the weather as nice and as pleasant as it is. But thank you all very especially for taking the time out of what I know is a very full, very tight schedule for all of you. And your presence here speaks volumes of the friendship that you place upon the Philippines, a friendship that we in the Philippines value greatly. And I'm pleased to be here with you, with my delegation, for the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, and a special session of the General Assembly, which we attended earlier today. And at that session, I was able to proudly recall and to share with your countries 8 decades of constructive and meaningful engagement with the United Nations and your countries, and to usher in, and many opportunities to usher in peace, security, development, and equity, and to assert the legal and moral authority of multilateralism, the United Nations and its charter. Further to what I elaborated at the General Assembly just a couple of hours earlier, I want to emphasize to your excellencies that as representatives of the global community that from day one, the Philippines has been present. Along with 50 other founding members, we helped set the foundations of what is now the guiding framework for collective response to global challenges, ensuring that international action is anchored upon our shared rules and norms rather than based on unilateral power. 8 decades before, with the UN now 193 members strong, we remain here, standing side by side with the international community and working to strengthen this edifice that we have all built together. The birth of the UN coincided with the end of the Philippines' third struggle for independence and statehood. And it might come as a surprise to some of you that we had to fight to become an independent state 3 times over. A revolution that began in the dying years of the 1800s culminated in the Philippines' signing of the UN Charter in San Francisco in 1945, a prelude to our eventual full independence in 1946, giving birth to the very first Asian Republic. From day one, the Philippines has been committed to the UN, its charter, and multilateralism. That commitment remains resolute for us in the Philippines. The ardent love for freedom, for peace, equality, and for justice that burned in the hearts of our forefathers has not been extinguished. And to this day, as a modern, fast-growing country, the Philippines and its people continue to be animated by that same fervent spirit. This time, to uphold that which is vital to our future as a human civilization, a rules-based international order, inclusive leadership in the community of nations, sustained growth and development that leaves no one behind, protection of the planet that we call home, and defending the voiceless and the vulnerable. Today's world is much different from the world in 1945 as we are confronted with shifting geopolitical tides, transnational threats, climate change, and misuse of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence. So as the UN navigates these contemporary realities, it can always count on the Philippines to extend its experience and steady hand. For decades, Filipinos have been a constant presence in the whole spectrum of the work of the United Nations. Through the work of our diplomats here in New York, in Geneva, in Vienna, Nairobi, Bangkok, Paris, amongst others, peacekeepers in Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and beyond the UN, our frontliners, humanitarians, medical workers, in times of disasters and crises the world over. In times of liquidity crisis, we have paid our dues to the UN in full and on time. And again, I will repeat that we are very proud to be included in the UN honor roll this year. And from the very start, from the very beginning, the Philippines has always endeavored to be part of the solution. This, Excellencies, is why we are asking for your support and trust, and to allow the Philippines to take a seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for 2027 to 2028. Through the decades, Filipino diplomacy has distinguished itself by the optimistic certainty that the world will always be made better when it works as one towards a shared goal. We are a bridge and consensus builder. We have proven time and again that the Philippines is committed not only to finding solutions, but to being part of that solution. We have been deeply honored with the goodwill and trust that your delegations have extended to Filipino diplomats in the joint endeavor to bring the principles and aspirations of the UN Charter to a living thing. In the Council, you can count on the Philippines to be the same tried and tested partner, pathfinder, and peacemaker that we have always been. We hope for your valuable support at the Security Council elections on the 3rd of June of 2026. I look forward to continuing our valuable cooperation to promote, maintain, and find pathways to peace, bilaterally, regionally, and on the international stage in the coming days and months. Thank you, and mabuhay.